Father Holland, it's really sad to read about David and what happened to him. And in our days, we are surrounded by situations that are very similar, and all of us get really sad looking at lives that have been destroyed. And how can we, as members of the church, make a difference, be instruments in Heavenly Father's hands to help those around us to overcome situations like this?
I would think that probably a first response is we need to make sure that we are strong and that we do not think we're invulnerable or that we're beyond the pale of temptation or transgression. I think every day of our life we have to arise saying we need the Lord in our life. We're going to do what we can do, but we're going to count on Him to bless us and protect us in areas where we would be out of our depth, where we would be in trouble. And then we just work very hard at avoiding even the very appearance of evil, if we can do that. We live in a threatening world. We live in a dangerous world. Our kids are growing up. Our grandchildren are growing up in a very difficult. We can't flee from that. I spoke about this recently in a talk to the young adults of the church, in saying that for all these generations, Israel has always been able to flee Babylon. Whenever Babylon came, we took off. We'd go into the wilderness. We'd go hide out in the desert. And that was Israel's story forever until this dispensation. And in this dispensation, we plant our feet and attack Babylon. Because for us, in the last days, Zion will have to be everywhere. It'll have to be in your home and mine, and every school district, and every neighborhood. So that you're spot on in terms of the question. Now, how do we do that? First, by being strong ourselves, and then I think so living the gospel, so radiating the fruits of the gospel will be so conspicuous that, like Isaiah once prophesied, people will say, let's go up. Let's go up to the mountain of the house of the Lord. Let's go see, what do those people know? Why does this work for them? Why does it work for your family? Why does it work in your marriage? And that will be, without being obnoxious or intrusive, that will be visible. That'll be more and more evident, particularly as we polarize, as life gets more sheep and more goats, more wheat and more tares. Down here, when that wheat and those tares are growing together, it's almost indistinguishable. In its maturity, it's very easy to identify wheat from tares. Well, that's the dispensation we're in. It's going to be pretty visible, pretty evident. And I think all living the gospel is individual. That you do what you can do in your life, and you help your husband and your kids and your sweet little neighborhood of influence and your young women if you teach them, and the primary if you have them, and you work locally in order that somehow that great beacon can go out globally. And if enough of us do that, Goethe said, if every man swept in front of his door, the whole world would be clean. That can start with us. We often want to see the end. We want to see the ultimate reach of that. That's pretty hard. But we can see the beginning, and that's to live the gospel in your own life and with your own covenants and in your own sphere of influence. And lo and behold, works miracles. But it is the world we're in, and we do have a great obligation. And it's different from any time in history, any time ever in the history of the world. It will be the characteristic of the latter days for us to plant our feet and have our influence where we are. We're not going to run anywhere. We're not going to go anywhere. We're going to live where we are and declare what we know to be true.